Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to take a look at this really cool hovercraft by Syma. It's the Q11's its model number. As you can see on the box, it's a land, ice, and water. It's not great on land because if it has a really smooth surface. Obviously ice is going to be slick, and it does really well on water. So let's grab the hovercraft here, and here it is. And it's got your fan here on the top that propels, moves the air down through the bottom, and it helps lift it off the ground. It has this cushion around here that inflates. I'll show you in just a minute. That seals the air in, and you got your rear thrust in here that moves it forward. Now it steers by, how much thrust it gives to the right or left motor. I found that steering it, it steers better if you lay off the throttle and then just turn it. So yeah, you can see here the model number is the Q11. The battery compartment is in here. It has a little screw. You open it up and the battery goes in. I'll show you the battery here in just a moment. Let's go ahead and we'll fire it up. You just press it, and now I can see it's got air coming out the bottom. I can feel it, and this is inflated here. And then these will go as I give throttle to the controller to actually move it. Now, you've got to have a slick surface, as I said. This concrete on my pool is not going to work very well. I'm going to turn this off so you can hear me better. I also have a really loud chirping bird over here that's making it difficult too. Textured concrete, it just barely moves. It needs to be something like water, a slick garage floor. That's where I'm going to show you guys. Also, part of the review will be in my garage. I'm going to start out on my water, so that's the neatest part, and show you how it goes across the water. Then I'll finish the review up on the slick garage floor. You can also, inside, hardwood floors, linoleum, it does just fine. Anything really slick. But textured concrete, it just creates too much drag on this, and it causes it just to kind of sputter along. So keep that in mind. It's not like a big military hovercraft. It's not going to be able to go across your yard and into the pool or something like that. So the only way you're going to go probably from land to water is if you have a patch of ice next to a pond or something. That's probably the only way that that's going to work. Now, the battery that it uses, it comes with two of them, which is nice. I got one, of course, in here, and then I've got this one right here, and it is a 3.7 volt 380 milliamp hour battery on this little it comes with this little micro low-C connector, and it comes with your typical charger for that, which has got the little USB to the micro low-C, and it has a red light that comes on and it goes out when it is fully charged. It won't turn green or anything, and that's going to take you, probably 45 minutes to an hour to charge up. And it comes with a little Ziploc bag here that's got a Phillips screwdriver for opening those compartments, and a yellow cleaning cloth in there, I guess, to dry it up and clean it up. And let's grab the controller. The controller is a really toy grade, it's just a click for throttle. It does have reverse, so to reverse the thrust through these rear motors to try to slowly back it up, but it doesn't work too well. And then it's got just your click for your right and left to alternate between the rear motors, because of course a setup like this, you really can't easily have any kind of proportional steering on something like this. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire this up. I want to swap the battery out because I've done some test runs on this battery, so I want to put a fresh battery in here. I got them both charged up so that we get a good night. It don't run out of power in the middle of the review. And then we'll drive it here in the pool, and then I'll take it into the garage and we'll finish the review up in there. So we'll be right back, guys. Alright guys, so I swapped the fresh battery in here. Let's go ahead and drive this guy around the pool and see how it does. I was surprised at how well it actually did on the water when I tested it earlier. So go ahead and we'll fire it up here and we'll take it around. So just a quick press fires it up, then give it turn on the power here, and then it's bound. So as you can see, there's your throttle, and then if you steer, it does turn both, but it's firing at one more than the other to actually make it turn. It's hard to see that, but it seemed like to me it still turned better if you actually stop giving it throttle, though it will turn as you're giving it throttle as well. So let's go ahead and I'll show you guys real quick this textured surface. Even though we just recently power washed it, as you see here, it just doesn't go well on this. I'll put it down and back up so you guys can see, and it just barely moves. It's just because there's too much drag, and the fan on this little guy doesn't have enough lift to really get it off the ground enough to keep it, where it just barely touches. Because it's this balloon type, I don't know what you call this, but this has helped seal the air in, and it should just barely touch, but it's still creating too much drag. So let's go ahead and set it here just barely into the pool. I'll back up, and you see it goes pretty good on the pool. Not gonna break any speed records with this guy, but I'm not letting off the throttle, and I can steer pretty good. Sometimes when I let off the throttle, it really, obviously you can do donuts, but on a surface that doesn't slide as well as water or ice, I noticed it just seemed to be a little easier to steer if I wasn't trying to give it throttle as well. No idea on the runtime on this. As any kind of a land vehicle, it's going to really vary how you drive it, how much you stop and start. Obviously with something that's not fully proportional, it's going to be a little bit more accurate because you can't go slow or fast. You're always going full speed on this guy. But I think, you know, it's not running gears through a transmission or something, so it's a lot of friction free in terms of the motors in the back, but you're still getting a lot of drag on the bottom. So, you know, we'll see. Running time on this thing, I would think you'd get 10 minutes. Could be a lot more. I'd be surprised if it was less. The less smooth the surface, you know, probably the more you're going to decrease that run time as you're creating more and more drag on the bottom. Yeah, it's moving along not too bad for something that's just being propelled by fans. Just like a real hovercraft, but you know, those are gas powered and this is just electric. Yeah, this would be something that I would think would be a great gift if you're someone looking for a good birthday present, something for a younger kid. You know, I don't mind driving this. It's kind of fun, but it's something for an adult. You know, it's more aimed at probably a 10 to 12-year-old, maybe 14. I think for most adults, this is probably going to be a little bit too slow to have too much fun with. But for something like this pool, you know, something really quick, you're not going to have enough time, and you're going to be slamming into the side. So this is perfect for you know, your personal pool, whether in ground or above ground, doesn't matter. Something that's, you know, 15 to 30 feet across. This is gonna be just fine because it's, you know, it's only going, you know, we probably figure it's going probably 3 to 5 miles an hour. I'm thinking probably closer to the 3. If you can see there, I don't know if I mentioned earlier or not, but there's a green light. You're not gonna see that, guys, because of the glare. There's a rear green LED. That's to help you locate the rear end. I guess if you're driving this at night, you can see that rear light. But yeah, it works just fine. It's just you're not going to be able to drive this guy out of a pool, excuse me, and onto another surface unless it's really, really slick. I'm going to bring it back over here, and what we'll do, I'll grab it and we'll take it. I don't want to run the battery down completely. As you can see, it's still firing up the bottom fan, so I'm just going to do a long press and turn it off. And we'll take this into my garage now, knock some of the water off, and we'll continue it there so you can see how it drives. It's pretty similar, as you can imagine, on a garage floor, but it's probably going to be, it depends, you know, how much drag that water was creating. Is it kind of, if it loses any lift, it's going to hit that water, so the water actually could create more drag than the concrete surface, which doesn't have any give to it. So I'll be right back, guys. I got to move my cars out of the garage and we'll finish the review up in the garage, so I'll be right back. Alright guys, before I go into the garage, I want to show you something that I forgot to mention, that I knew about, but I forgot about to mention it when I was reviewing it here at the beginning. Is it has these two little pins that make a connection in water. So if you put it in the water, it will power itself on. So I think what they did that for, and it's kind of cool they did it, but unusual, is if you throw this into a water or a lake and you forgot to power it up, you could lose it. It will power up when you throw it in. So let me show you this. When I put it into the water here, look, hopefully this will show up in the head cam. It fires up, and there it goes, and around in circles. So yeah, that's what it does. It powers up. I gotta get the controller now, unless it comes back toward me, to actually control it. I think I'm gonna be able to grab it, but yeah, that's how it works. So then you have to then power it off with the the button when you get it out. All right, that's pretty cool. So a little safety feature that they give you. All right, guys, let's move along now into the garage to finish up the actual review on the concrete. So I'll be right back. All right, guys, as you can see, I just brought it in the garage. It's still dripping wet. I'm just driving around here for just a moment so you guys can see how it goes on the floor. This is a rather slick floor. It's probably not super clean, so the cleaner and the slicker it is, the better this thing is going to go along. But again, this is really aimed at someone younger who's just getting into the RC hobby, and who doesn't want a hovercraft, right? So let's go ahead and turn it on again. I'll set it down. Go ahead and turn on the controller. Let's go ahead and see how it goes. So it goes about the same. I mean, it doesn't go too bad on this. But again, it's not that fast where I don't even need to have both of my cars out of the garage, because I should be able to control this within this smaller area. But as we want to steer here, so you can steer, sometimes, like I said, it seems like if I let off and let it kind of coast and then give it steering, sometimes it seems like it steers maybe a little better if you let off the throttle. So if you get most people's, if you have a garage, that was pretty cool there. You get a slick surface, linoleum floor. It didn't go across my linoleum floor as well as this, and I thought it would. It's getting going pretty good there. Here, it's caught against this tank. Wood floor, that's really slick. Wood floor did really, really well. And if you got this thing in a cold climate in the winter time, if you get ice, I'll tell you what, probably the best service you could do is if you have a local lake or pond that froze over. This thing would be a blast on a frozen pond, because there's nothing much slicker than the ice. It'd be like a Zambonio, except for faster. Yeah, it's doing pretty good. It's getting caught up on some dead grass there. Now obviously when you let up on the throttle, you still got the bottom fan, so it's still, as you can look, it reminds me of an air hockey table or something where you got the puck, floating along. So the bottom fan is always running when the power's on. The rear don't go until you give it throttle. It's kind of getting caught. There's some pieces of chalk here. Let me see if it's on the bottom. So you can see that rag is probably mostly meant to give you to clean this bottom off, because you want to clean this regularly, because if any junk gets caught, it's going to create drag, and as you can see, that's what's happening. This floor is dirtier than the pool water, and if you got a pool and you've had it indoors or on concrete, wipe that off before you put it in the pool so you don't dirty your pool water up with little bits of junk, little pieces and bits of junk. So keep that in mind. Before I end this, let's just show you, it does have a reverse. You can see it'll get going there as you can. It's pulling that air in across the body of the hovercraft, and it seems like it just doesn't move as well as the back, but the airflow is unimpeded. But the front, it seems to affect them. I got going pretty good there. Yeah, you get it going a little bit, and I wonder what would happen if we tried just giving it a push. See, and give it a push, you can kind of give it some momentum. So maybe that's an idea. I think this garage is also sloped towards me. So as I'm doing this, it seemed like you get better speed going if you have slightly downhill. As you can see, now water may slow it down next. See, it's going pretty good. So that worked pretty good coming back towards me. Alright guys, that should be enough. There's that green light, it looked pretty bright there. That should be enough, guys. There's not too much of what I can show you. But this is something I would recommend if you're looking for a relatively inexpensive gift for a younger kid. They're going to absolutely love this. If you're an adult though, as you can see, I think most of us probably would want something a little more powerful, a little more larger, something with maybe brushless motors. But then again, I don't know anybody that makes a brushless hovercraft. I'm sure it exists, but it's not something that I've seen, and I imagine it's probably pretty pricey. I don't know what this costs, so check out the purchase link in the description if you're interested. I'll link to this. This is sold on Amazon. It's a third-party seller, but it's just a Syma, and we know Syma is a reputable, name brand. So the price will be there. It can't be too expensive, but I just don't know the price offhand because I was, of course, offered this for review, so I didn't actually buy this, as you guys probably already know. All right, guys, that wraps up the video. Hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions about it, be sure to ask. Be sure to subscribe. Click the bell so you know when I do upload new videos. And as always, guys, have a wonderful day.
The power of the dark side.